Today's Bible class is about 3 kings of Judah. The first king we will study is Joash. Joash was the youngest king mentioned in the Bible. He became king when he was 7 years old. He lived during a time when the temple was in disrepair. Joash's great accomplishment was seeing that the temple was repaired. The next king we will study is Hezekiah. Hezekiah was well known for his love of God. Hezekiah prayed to God for help, and God helped Hezekiah. Hezekiah praised God in song. The third king we will study today is Josiah. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king. His workers found a scroll, and when Josiah and the people heard the word of the Lord from the scroll, it changed their life. So now let's start with Joash.
Today's lesson is about 2 boys who became king of Judah many years apart. The first one was Joash. We read about him in 2 Kings 11 and 12 and 2 Chronicles 24. He is also known as Joash.
Hi, I'm Joash, and I became king when I was 7 years old.
Wow, that is very young to become king.
Yes, it was a very bad time in Judah. There was a wicked woman ruling.
What did she do that was so bad?
She got rid of all the king's rightful heirs so that she could be queen, and then she broke into the temple and took all the beautiful things for disgusting god Baal.
That's awful.
Yes, but she didn't know about me.
How did you escape?
My aunt hid me in the house of the Lord for 6 years, and then when I was 7, the people finally got rid of the wicked queen. They brought me out of hiding and declared me the new king.
How exciting.
Yes, it was. Bye.
So Joash became king when he was 7. That would be a big job. I wonder if he had any help.
He sure did.
Who are you?
I'm Jehoiada, the priest, and I helped young Joash with a very important project.
What kind of project?
Well, Joash saw that the temple needed to be repaired, so he asked me to make sure it got done.
Did King Joash have a lot of money for these repairs?
No, he told the Levites to go collect money from all the people. They didn't. So I got a big chest, put a hole in the top, and when people made an offering, we would put it in the chest.
That's a great idea.
Yes, and Joash always worshiped God and listened to my advice all the days of my life.
But Jehoiada the priest died, and as Joash got old, he stopped obeying God. Joash was a much better king when he was 7 than when he became old.
Then one day there was a new king, King Hezekiah. He tore down all of the idols, and we want to learn more about King Hezekiah. King Hezekiah was ruler of the southern kingdom of Judah and lived in the city of Jerusalem. He loved and obeyed God and encouraged his people to do the same. One day, the very powerful and cruel King Sennacherib, ruler of the Assyrians, marched on Jerusalem with his large and powerful army and laid siege to the city. The people trapped inside the city looked out in fear at the huge army that had come to destroy them. Hezekiah went up to the temple of the Lord and spread out his papers listing all of the threats that Assyria had made. He then prayed, "You alone are God over all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heaven and earth. Look at the words Sennacherib has sent to ridicule the living God." Hezekiah continued, "Lord, deliver us from the Assyrians so that all the kingdoms of the earth may know you alone are God." The prophet Isaiah sent a message to King Hezekiah. "The king of Assyria will not enter the city or shoot an arrow here. I will defend the city and save it." God heard Hezekiah's prayer. Let's look at another story of King Hezekiah when he was an old man. One day, King Hezekiah was feeling very ill. He lay in bed wondering whether he would ever get well again. He had a very nasty boil full of infection. People came to wish him well and show their sympathy. "Get well soon," they would say. "Sorry to hear about your illness." Then Isaiah, a prophet of the one true God, came to visit King Hezekiah. When Isaiah walked in, the king brightened up. Perhaps the prophet has some good news for me, he thought. But Isaiah had some very bad news for the king. "It's time to get things in order," he said. "You are going to die." The king was devastated by the news. He turned his face to the wall and started to pray very sadly to the Lord he loved and trusted. "I've tried to be a good king," he wept. "I've tried to obey you. Please don't let me die." As the king lay crying on his bed, Isaiah was walking out of the palace when suddenly the Lord called out to him, "Go back to the king. I have heard the king's prayer and have seen his tears. In 3 days I will make him better." Isaiah went back to the king and told him what God had said. He was delighted. "You have another 15 years to live," said Isaiah. But then Hezekiah became full of doubt. "Can the Lord give me a sign to show me he really will do what he says?" "Yes," said Isaiah. "God will make the shadow of your sundial move 10 degrees. Which direction would you like the shadow to move, forwards or backwards?" Well, the king pondered. "It's easier for the shadow to go forward, as that is the direction it moves anyway. So I want it to go backwards." The king sent servants to watch the sundial. To their amazement, they saw the shadow move backwards around the edge by 10 degrees. When the king heard what had happened, he lay back with a sigh of relief. If God could make time go backwards, then he was sure God would heal him, add 15 years to his life. Isaiah ordered that some figs be mashed up and placed on the king's boils to help him heal. And sure enough, 3 days later, Hezekiah was out of bed and feeling great. King Hezekiah's story helps us appreciate that every day we live is a gift from God. Hezekiah went into the temple to sing songs of thanks and praise to God. The words of thanks the king gave to God for healing him can be found in chapter 38 of Isaiah's book. The third king we're going to talk about is Josiah. Josiah was only 8 years old when he became the king of Judah. He was a good king. 18 years passed and he decided to repair the temple in Jerusalem. He sent his servant Hilkiah, the high priest, to collect the donation money people gave the priest at the temple door. The king needed the money to pay workmen to fix the temple. While Hilkiah was counting the money for King Josiah, he found an old scroll. On it was written all the laws which God had given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Hilkiah the high priest gave the old scroll to King Josiah's servant, and he read the law of Moses and the 10 Commandments to Josiah. King Josiah was very upset when he heard God's law and prayed for forgiveness. His people had forgotten the one true God. They prayed to idols and behaved badly. King Josiah gathered all the people and read the law of Moses to them. King Josiah made a promise to God to rid his kingdom of idols and evil and to follow God's law. He went throughout the whole kingdom and destroyed all the evil places and idols. There was no other king like King Josiah.
Hey man, I hear the kids are learning the books of the Bible.
Maybe they'll say them with us.
Yeah.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth,
1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yep.
We only messed up one time.
Yep. Do you want to do the New Testament as a game?
Sure.
I'll say one and then you say another.
Okay.
Matthew,
Mark,
Luke,
John,
Acts,
Romans.
1st and 2nd Corinthians,
Does that count as 2? I guess. Galatians,
Ephesians,
Philippians,
Colossians,
1st and 2nd Thessalonians,
1st and 2nd Timothy,
Titus,
Philemon,
Hebrews,
James,
1st and 2nd Peter,
1st and 2nd and 3rd John,
Jude.
and Revelation.
Good job.
You too.